Good morning, everybody. I hope you are all well. Welcome to Ben on the Fen with me, Ben Aldridge from Morphry Thyme. As you can see, I'm not on the Fen today. I'm actually out on location, as you will have seen in the pre-description. So this morning, I'm actually outside a client's and I'm with a client. I'll introduce him in a second. But you know, I always talk about, like to link things together. And basically, 3 years ago, an existing client said to me, Ben, I'm working with a business and they need some zero support, some zero training. Can you help? So, yeah, no problem. Bread and butter stuff for us. So go along and fast forward 3 years, that zero training turned into Dex's chart of accounts, renaming and restructuring, departmental analysis, management accounts, payroll, VAT returns, helping with new companies, looking at acquisitions, all kinds of things. And to be honest, it's been a fantastic journey for the last 3 years. And I'm going to extend the selfie stick so we can get a slightly wider pan. And I'm delighted to welcome this morning Mr. Taylor Tassie.
Good morning.
Now, Taylor did tell me a couple of days ago he was a little bit nervous because Taylor's never done a live before.
No, I haven't.
It's all pre-recorded, edited, made him look pretty.
Yeah, hair and makeup.
Yeah, definitely. So we are outside where the first meeting took place, up in that room right up there.
It was.
With Taylor and Trevor and Diane, I think, as well, isn't it, at that point? Where we sat down and got everything working. I'm a bit shaky this morning, just don't have my coffee. So yeah, we met up there, and yeah, it's just gone from one thing after another, really, mainly due to this man here. But we are going to take a little walk. Taylor says there's a nice little forest area we can take a walk around, and we'll do a bit of a Q&A. I can see we've actually got 2 people watching, Taylor. Wow. That is the highest number of live viewers I think I've ever had.
You're growing.
So we've got a message. Gemma said, hello, Taylor and Ben. Hello, Gemma.
Good morning, Gemma.
So Gemma works for us.
Oh, cool.
And is my sister. So we are a family business as well. So yeah, let's get walking. So nice. I'll let Taylor just introduce himself a little bit more for those of you that don't know who he is.
Yes. So good morning, everybody. I say my name's Taylor. I have lived in Norfolk since 2019 now. 26 years old, and yeah, I've built a few different businesses over the last 7 or so years, and worked with Ben for quite a few years of that, and Ben's been an integral part of our journey in scaling the finance function, improving our efficiencies, and just supporting us in all the weird and wonderful things that we're getting up to and trying to push the boundaries of our sort of existing capabilities. So yeah, it's kind of me then.
Yeah. So yeah, you've obviously been going. You started the business when you were 18.
Yes. Yeah, it was 18. Yeah.
So 18 years old. Most people at 18 years old do not know at all what they're going to be doing with their life. You've obviously gone into branded merchandise. So what inspired you to go into that particular sector?
Well, I sort of started out as doing a bit of construction work, building work, that sort of stuff, a bit of labouring when I was sort of in between school. Then I went I've done a little bit of work working at a joinery company. And then I just found an apprenticeship. I just realised I want to try an office. And I found a business administration apprenticeship. And that was with a company in the print and promo world at the time. I was there for a little while, learned a hell of a lot. And then I was approached by one of my clients to go into digital and litho printing. So I went to work in the City of London as a business development manager at 17, 18 at the time, selling leaflets, flyers, those kinds of things. And as I grew, I started working with some good brands like Nike and the like. And they were saying to me, look, we're doing an event. Can you do the leaflets, the flyers, the name badges for the table, for the delegates, but also we want some tote bags and some notebooks for everything to go in. And the really interesting thing for me was after about 6 months, I realised I just really missed that physical, tangible, promotional product side of things. And so I just decided, you know what, I've got nothing to lose, just to give it a go. So $6,000 I saved from commission that I'd built up. And that was it. We just started from the bedroom, just as a pure promo distributor, catalogue, telephone, and just sat there calling and trying to get appointments with people, the old school way that I'd always been taught. that was really it. That was how we got going.
Yeah, brilliant. I think I remember one of the stories you told me where you with the MD, the FD, the sales director, all on the same call, just to win the work.
Yeah, it was.
But it worked, didn't it? It got the job.
Definitely. I think that was
Got it off
always
the
a
ground.
thing. I think it was a thing I was nervous about because of my age, and I had a real baby face. I think when I walked into these appointments, I just could not tell them. You know, I never had managing director on my business card. I never had direct. A lot of people, I think, have this ego where they can't wait. Their first job is to get a business card printed with CEO on it or MD or something. I actually, for years, didn't even put that on my LinkedIn. I didn't put it anywhere because I think I was nervous that if people thought, well, this child is the MD of this company and we're spending 10 grand on, you know, merchandise with them. So I would big it up. But I think that came from two places. I think it was really good for me in that I was almost visualizing every day what we should be. So I was talking up an FD, talking up a operations, talking up a warehouse, and it was that sort of mental repetition every day. It helped me feel that I wasn't an imposter, but it also meant that, you know, the clients believed in us and I was almost visualizing what I wanted it to be. And a few years later we slowly got there.
Well, and there's a big thing, isn't there? They talk about you visualize where you want to be, and I think you can really tell that from what you've just said, that you visualize having that company with the structure, all the people working in the different departments, and ultimately, what we're talking 7-8 years on, you've got it. It's there, isn't it? That structure's there. So that's fantastic. Obviously, Taylor has got a couple of other businesses as well. One of them being a property business. So how on earth did you get into the property business? And you might say, I don't want to disclose that, Ben. I don't want to talk about that. But
no,
over to you.
I think property is always something that interests me. I think as a young person, you think that that's the epitome of business. You think, wow, you know, people who get into property, they've really made it. I think I've learned that for the most part, it's a lot harder slog than anyone ever anticipates. I'd say that it's been one of the hardest businesses that I've been involved in, and not even just when it goes wrong. I've done a few deals that have gone wrong and that have been very tough mentally and financially, but also just even when it does go right. For me, learning the industry of managing tradespeople, managing what I feel sometimes is the uncontrollable. I always like to focus on the controllables, and I feel like with property there's so much that you can't touch, you can't reach. You know, there's lots of people in chains, there's solicitors, they work at their own pace, there's, you know, accountants that you have to get involved and try and follow their advice, and I just feel like I'm not in control, and it's been a real eye-opener for me working in property. I'd always wanted to do it. I'd studied it. I'd been to a few seminars because I didn't really know where to start, but it was always on the sort of vision board that we would build a property portfolio, mostly for security. As I read this stat that I think it's every 12 years or 10 years, there's a financial downturn, and history tells you that. And I was always around the impression of I'd been around businesses that had no security or assets. So when times got tough, the banks didn't want to know. But when I studied businesses that the banks did want to know, it was they had a lot of security that they could get their teeth into and would help them in their time of need. So I wanted to be in that position for my team's sake so that we could weather any storms. So we bought a commercial property. That was obviously the first thing on most people's bucket list, was to get, you know, not rent your property, be own your own. So we did that. And then it went fairly smooth. We renovated it, built it up. And then I was like, right, now I want to go up a notch. I want to do refurbishment and build homes for people. And that's when it got a little bit rocky. So I've done a few. Some have gone okay. Others have been and continue to be challenging.
But, good word.
Yeah,
challenging.
Yeah.
Well done. Yeah.
But I've learned more, and I am living by the mantra, and I think more people should, that, you know, if you're not earning, you're learning. And I think that's what I'm telling myself when I'm going for these tough projects. You know, we've had dealings with, you know, asbestos, you know, health and safety executive, local councils, challenging neighbours, you know, unknowns in the structure of the building. I think it's huge. So there's loads of things that I'll carry that knowledge with me forever now, and it will pay on future projects.
I think that's really useful if anybody's watching and they're in property or thinking of getting into property. What Taylor's just said there about lessons learned, and I think that can apply to anything in business. I mean, certainly I know over the last 3 years we've totally branded. I think, well, I don't think there's enough fingers in the world to count how many different lessons you've learned with different things. We do have an expression, don't we? A Taylorism.
Yeah.
A Taylorism quite often is when I'll turn up to a meeting and
Yeah.
get to the end of the meeting and oh yeah, before you go, and that such thing happened about a year ago after Taylor had been on holiday for 2 weeks. We have a meeting and get back. And he said, oh, by the way, I've incorporated a new company. It's Waste Management. Do you want to tell us a bit about that and how that came about?
Yeah, so I'd always been interested in the waste industry. It's a strange one, but you know, the fact that we all produce ungodly amounts of waste, and it's a business that I always saw as really interesting. I love the trucks, I love the skips, I love these waste transfer centres, and I was fascinated by how we all produce every day at home, at work, huge amounts of waste. Where does it all go? And it must be a huge industry. And it played on my mind for 2 or 3 years, and I'd spoke about it with family around, I'd really like to do something in the waste industry. I think that there's a lot of opportunity there. And then off the back of doing the property and needing waste removal, I needed a lot of skips, we needed load and go. There was lots of instances. I became really frustrated by the service levels, the ethics of some of these businesses that I was dealing with, and the reliability. And again, going back to having that sense of control, I just was like, do you know what, this is not good enough. There's a gap here for somebody to do it all above board, do it right, turn up on time, and clear, and just do a good job, and just take the hassle away for people. And I just decided one day when I was on holiday, I thought, right, let's just get this done. Let's just do it. What have we got to lose? So we got our first truck, we got the website up, and we just got marketing, and we've learned so much. It again, very similar to the property. You realise how challenging it is, and how you're not dealing with competitors that play, the usual, by the code of ethics in business. And you learn how tough that industry is, and for me, it's the health and safety side. There's a lot that can go wrong. But in a nutshell, you need a lot of scale, but absolutely does fascinate me still to this day, that sector. I think we all need it, don't we? It's incredibly important.
Yeah, from Mrs. Moggins with the bit of rubbish in the garden all the way up to a property developer. That sort of load and go service that you've developed is quite different, I would say, because most builders traditionally will go out, get a skip, and it'll sit there on the driveway and it'll be there for ages, whereas they can pile it all up. Your guy or your guys hopefully will come along, clear it away, and it's gone. It's all done and dusted. Yeah, so that's really good.
Convenience.
Yes, exactly. So I had a list of questions. I'm just trying to remember what I had on my list. I mentioned at the start of the video that Gemma was watching. I don't know if she still is. Who works for Morphry Thyme and is my sister. So obviously family members involved in the business, totally branded right at the beginning. Truly was a family business. With you, massively. You got your dad Trevor, who is FD. Now he was on board. Mum's involved in the accounts, and then your two brothers as well have joined the business. Now there'll be a lot of people out there watching, potentially, hopefully, that are part of family businesses, and I'm sure they'll know the difficulties of having a family business. But what would you say is the biggest challenge to running a family-owned business?
I think, well, first of all, I'd say I don't think we would be where we are today if it wasn't for the family. I think that we really have in times got through certain times because of us being a family, and I don't think we would have got to where we are, like I say, because most for financial reasons, because a lot of us over the years have worked we work for a charity, if you know what I mean. My brother started, he was commission only. Most people wouldn't do that in this day and age. They're not wired like that.
No.
And so I do believe that we're very fortunate. I would say the challenges are, it's very difficult to have a work life, because for me, my life with my family is business.
I was going to say
I find that difficult to separate those two.
You go out for dinner, and the thing is, you all work together. So what you do is what you get. What's the conversation going to go to? Work. Isn't
it's
it?
Something that we're trying to improve. But I'll be honest. We go out for dinner. you know, and it is the whole conversation, the whole hour is centered around, you think, you know, the business and challenges and what we're doing and the next step, etc. And it's just like a business meeting, but it's supposed to be my brother's birthday or something like that. But
Sorry,
I love
Cody.
It,
Sorry, Cody, mate.
But I love it. But it is nice to, you know, I don't want to get to, you know, 70 and think, oh, all of those years we didn't really have that quality family time. So I think it's important to try and, that's definitely a challenge. I think it's also tough where I'm quite a disciplined person, and I think so are most of the family, but I think when there's times when you need that structure of MD and FD and that sort of hierarchy, because I do believe that it needs to be like a single threaded leader in any organisation. I do think that can become really tough when there's obscure, like, oh, how much holiday do we get? You know, how those sort of difficult, you know, when it comes to, you know, salaries and pay, I think it's very tough. And I think that we're very lucky where we're a very mature family. I think we're very level-headed, and we're everybody involved playing the long game. But I do think that I hear horror stories of family businesses, and I do completely get it. And I think that I'm just very, very lucky that I have the siblings and the family that I do, because I can completely appreciate how for the wrong dynamic, it could be very messy.
Oh, definitely. I'm just thinking, should we turn around and start walking back the other way? It's actually a really nice walk.
Yeah,
really nice.
Never been down this far.
No.
But yeah, no. On that, I just would say, I think for anybody that is in business family, I think the best thing that I've learned, and our dynamics improved a lot with my two brothers since I got out of the way. So I think I think the biggest thing is defining who does what, letting invest if they're not amazing at it, and I've got loads of things I'm not amazing at. Invest in support, so coaching, development, training, you know, outsource support, like how you work with us on the finance side of things. Where there's weaknesses, plug those, but let that sort of single-threaded leader for that area lead.
Yes.
And don't micromanage, and don't nitpick, and just sometimes bite your tongue. Yeah, and that's kind of how I try and operate, and it seems to be doing us the world of good.
Yeah, I did think you were gonna. I thought you were gonna say that whole being able to switch off and the merger of the two, life and work. Yes, that is so common, and I'm sure people watching will appreciate that and see it themselves in their own lives. I mean, I'm very similar. I get home, talk to my wife, and I end up just talking to her about business, and she's my co-director, but she's not heavily involved in it. But and when I see my sister, who is still watching, well, she might not be now, but she was. Yeah, we go off and meet up, and we start talking about work, and my brother-in-law, oh, are you talking about work again?
Yeah.
So
I'm very lucky that my partner works with me in the business. My brother's partner works in the business, so pretty much everybody that's going to be around the family dinner table is involved in the business in some way. So I'm fortunate, but that's also dangerous because it means no one interjects and goes, right, enough. But yeah,
dearie me, oh dear. Right, we've talked about some challenges and some of the things that you've gone through. What I want to know, and when I asked you this beforehand, you sort of, oh my god, what's been your most proudest moment or your biggest success so far?
Wow.
I've got him now. I've got him.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to work on this, but I'm not wired to. I don't celebrate the wins. I'm not very good at it. I'm constantly just pushing forward, and it's something I want to get better at, but it's just the way I am. Self-aware enough to know that. But one moment that does stick out was, well, it happens regularly actually. It seems to happen to me every year, which really catches me, is when we have our Christmas party and or company conference, where pretty much the entire team are in the room, and we're standing up there, and on the presentation deck we're sliding through all what we've achieved that year.
Okay.
And we're looking at the numbers, we're looking at the people that have come on board, the personal achievements, things we've done to support charities, and
some of the brands that you've been picking up and working with,
just things like that. And I sort of stand there, and I do actually get quite emotional about it, because I just think sometimes I think, wow, you know, it just takes your breath. It takes me back a little bit in that, and it's only at that point when you stand there and you're sort of forced to be presenting to the team, this is how this year's gone, and you know, near on 50 people are sitting in front of you, and I'm like, this is the team. Wow, look at, it's not just me in a room anymore.
Yeah.
This is like, look what we've achieved.
It's
together.
amazing, isn't it, when you look around and see all the people that have basically joined you on your sort of mission, your goals, and they're buying into it, aren't they?
I just for me, it's that. So I wouldn't say it's one defining moment. I'd say it's a collective of things. That you know, when we debrief at the end of the year, which is one of the only times I take to look back, and the other time, I think when I hear about people within the business, team members that have come on board, and as they've grown with the business has allowed them to achieve their personal goals. So like a couple of people that have been with us for a while, and they've now gone on to, you know, buy their own home, start that journey. Nice. You know, they've got their, you know, it's gone on their dream holiday, their dream trips, and I just love to I feel like I'm a part of that.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
I get a real buzz out of that.
Yeah. I think it's similar to me, that obviously I've developed a team. I've not quite grown as quickly as you, but there's going to be 10 of us. I
always recommend it.
Oh, there's going to be 10 of us come September. But one of the things I do, and I think the team appreciate it, they seem to, but every Friday, get home from work, get something to eat, and I'll send a message out to our group WhatsApp, thanking them for maybe specific things that have been done, or just for the general work. And I think a lot of business owners out there I think you can take a lesson from what me and Tay have just said. Thank you, team. Just those small thank yous help boost the morale, give people confidence as well.
100%. Something on that I think has worked really well for us, because I agree with what Ben said around expressing that gratitude. But equally, I think sometimes you can feel like it's and it can become an expectation, which I think you have to be mindful of. And so something we implemented, which was trying to build our culture and strengthen it, was we created a dedicated chat called the Gratitude Chat.
Nice.
And actually, that's a case of, as we've grown, especially when you get past sort of 20 people, I think it becomes harder for me or you, Ben, or leadership teams to know everything that's going on every day. And actually, there's tiny little acts of great things going on within the business that should be highlighted. And so that gratitude chat's actually a chance to go, look, it's not just me as a MD, CEO, leader, whatever, to congratulate and thank everybody. Actually, let's talk between departments, between buildings, you know, and thank you for getting my customer's order out. Thanks for cleaning up the kitchen sink. Thanks for doing it. You know, it's tiny little acts to show people are appreciated. That was a huge culture builder for us, in really coming together and building like that one team. So I do think a little WhatsApp chat for not just you as a leader, but also the collective team to share kudos. Yeah.
Well, if you had my sort of semi-HR hat on, someone needs to police that those WhatsApp chats is the only other downside. And for me, policing the WhatsApp chat is my wife putting in inappropriate comments to members of staff. You don't get that, I'm sure.
No, we're quite lucky. We haven't got that yet. Talked it up now, though.
Oh, dearie me. Well, I obviously started off by sort of saying how we first obviously got introduced by you having some coaching, weren't you, from Mark Williams, and he introduced us. And I come along thinking you just wanted a bit of zero training. We then, I think the first thing was we got bank feeds set up, didn't we? Because Trev didn't have those out yet. Game changer, and a bit reluctant, but now we couldn't do without it. Number of you got 1,000+ transactions a week easily.
Yeah.
We then got Dext implemented, which again, a bit dubious about, but now that works well, although we are looking sort of alternatives to Dext. We then started doing your payroll, took that on, VAT returns, started doing some management accounts. We then realised doing the management accounts, it picked up different areas of where we could improve on, and we now have monthly meetings. So we'll have a set of management accounts, and then a week later we have a review meeting to go over them, really drill down and look at the margins, look at the expenditure, check to make sure there's no subscriptions, for example, that are being paid. Last month, I think we picked up, didn't we, your telephone company was charging you for calls and they're meant to be all inclusive. And some of these things on occasion we've picked up, got refunds. a few hundred, if not thousands of pounds has made the difference. And that's what I wanted, partly what I wanted to get you on is obviously people know who you are. You've got your own YouTube channel. Most people I come across in Norfolk now seem to know who you are, even though they've never met you.
Oh, that's for good reasons.
I think so. Well, see, we've worked together for 3 years, and you've experienced the sort of the services that we offer, and I hope and I like to think that we provide a really good service, efficient, reliable, and yeah, getting someone like yourself on just to confirm that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I say, working with you, Ben, I think again, I would say we definitely wouldn't be where we are today without the support that you've given me, and I think that, you know, things that you don't know what you don't know, and I think you've got to, especially with finance, I think that is so critical, that the amount of people that I meet that don't run management accounts, that don't, or they run it and the accountant or the bookkeeper puts it together, puts it on their desk or emails it through, and that's as far as it ever goes. They have a look at, they just zoom straight to the bottom of the page. Are we in brackets or are we not? And that's as far as it goes. And then we go, right, better get to work, get in the trenches. And actually, that's not the answer. And I think that our work, meeting, having that accountability of somebody that's helicopter view above the business, that's not necessarily in the trenches every day, who asks weird and obscure questions that you go, well, what's that got to do with it? And then you go, oh, actually, it's got a point there. But we're just so tunnel vision because we're in the thick of it. We couldn't necessarily see it. And I think that piece of work around going deeper on what, you know, an extensive management pack every month, and then having that time invested to go line item by line item, nominal code by nominal code, expanding on those nominal codes, it paints the picture for us, and it shapes where my focus then goes, so that I know what levers we need to then go and pull for the next month, and the management team do the same. And I really believe we wouldn't be able to run the business that we do without that grade of financial information and that insight. So that being one thing I think is critical, and more people should invest in it. I think it should be essential. And I think that also the software and the equipment and things that you've introduced for us as a business, again, have been absolutely game changing. I mean, we would probably need, I don't know, 7-8 people within our finance function full time if we were still manually inputting every transaction instead of, you know, Dex doing it on autopilot. I think, you know, we're very fortunate. We've got a very lean finance function, and I think that's as a result of the systems, processes, and efficiencies that a third party, you know, consultant, as I would call it, who has got many years ahead of you's experience, can come in and go, well, why don't we just hook that up, do that, push that there, and hey presto, you know, you're saving half the time. And I think a lot of people see the initial cost and bulk at things, and yeah, I've been guilty of that before, but I think when you zoom out and go, if I'm playing the long game here, actually investing in that is, you know, it's pittance when you divide it out over the savings over the coming years, because these systems that we've built will work forever. And yeah, okay, we tweak them, we evolve them. You know, you mentioned Dex there. We feel like we might be outgrowing it a little bit just because of the amount we're hammering it. But we've got the fundamental process. So then it's just a case of finding a heavier engine to carry it, isn't it?
Definitely.
But bringing that support in, I think most people, when they start up, they're good at something. They're either good at sales, they're good at marketing, they're bringing it. So for us, we were always good at growing and bringing in customers. We didn't understand cash management as well as we probably should. We didn't understand margins. We didn't understand the nitty gritty of what the hell a balance sheet was. And honestly, I wasn't that interested in understanding it at the time. But having somebody that could help push us along to really get to grips with it, I think it's fun. I just think it's absolutely essential. I wish we'd have probably invested in it 3 years sooner, because I probably wouldn't have made some of the mistakes we made then, and therefore we may be in a stronger position and potentially may have grown a bit faster because our
don't say that. Don't say that. Trev struggled with the pace of growth as it is. Poor Trev.
He loves it, really.
He loves it. Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, no, thank you, Ben. It's been a journey, and I'm sure it will continue to be one.
Oh, definitely. Knowing what some of your plans are for the future. Yes, it definitely will be. Definitely will be. but that's really good. And we've sort of evolved as well to doing budgets and monitoring budgets and forecasts. And again, that's been crucial to understanding and also telling the team where you want the company to go, what you're expecting the financials to be, and what impact that will have on their lives and their income. I think that's been really important, particularly with the senior management team, isn't it?
Yeah, I've never really been, I shouldn't probably say this, but never really been that obsessed with profit. I love building things and growing things. So for me, it has been in certain years growth at all costs. But what that means is that obviously when you're growing that quick and you're not spinning enough on the bottom line, you can get yourself into quite an unstable position if you have a wobble. And so now, for the greater good of the future and protection and legacy, we've now had to set some pretty strict rules on what I can spend on growth and what I can invest in brand, in marketing, and so on and so forth. And having those budgets where we drill into that, and then I've got someone like Ben to hold me to account on it each month, looking at the management accounts, is really powerful.
Like your advertising budget.
Yes.
Yeah. We won't go into that one.
Yeah, it's sort of subject.
We'll skip over that.
But it's helping, and I will say that, since we've set those budgets and we've respected, we're respecting them, the team have got them, we all know where we stand, and it's a blueprint. We're designing a blueprint. We're not going month to month and just winging it. We're running in that we're going to wait and see, right, at the end of the year, if everything's been hit, there's no reason why we shouldn't be in a really good position all round, and everybody will benefit from that.
Brilliant. Just going to cross the road. Make sure we don't get run over. That wouldn't be good. But yeah, thanks for joining me, Taylor. We've been going for half an hour now. But it's been really good, really interesting. Yeah, me and you together. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? But no, it's been a really great journey. I hope this journey is going to continue for many more months. We've actually got a meeting this morning, which is why I've come over to Swaffham anyway. So I managed to get Taylor on a video because I was coming over anyway, to talk about gross profit margins and the intricacies of turnover, gross profit, and how that all affects your bottom line. So I think on that note, that's what we're doing. I've been watching a lot of your videos. So yeah, thank you, Taylor. Thanks anyone who's been watching. Obviously, if you're watching on the catch up, please comment. Send us some messages if you've got any comments of your own. But yeah, that's Ben on the Fen Live with our first ever guest, Taylor Tassie.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.